What's up, guys? Welcome to the Bold Movement Podcast. This morning, very special guest, my boy Dalton Duncan is on. Yes, today we're
Good.
welcome. Today we're gonna unpack some things that we deal with as men and as Black men that aren't talked about. But how do we maneuver these things in a way that's articulate, in a way that has class, and in a way that our message is received? Because as a man, especially as a Black man, we have to be careful on how we deliver our messages because it's very easily for us to be looked at as aggressive or intimidating or overbearing, right? And this can happen to the nicest people in the world, the nicest people, but that color of your skin gives that stigma of he's this or he's that. And how I ended one of these episodes was a story where I dealt with this in real time. So this was in Vegas. I was recently in Vegas, right? And I was at the airport and we were there early. So we decided to go eat breakfast. And our waiter doesn't look at me, only looks at my girlfriend, right? And as you know, my girlfriend's white.
Mm.
So the waiter's only looking like, all right, whatever. Like some people kind of have that attitude, but I'm not going to overthink it. And then somebody else brings out our food. And you know how like after you eat 10 minutes, the waiter comes out, how'd everything come out? Like how'd everything drink? So never came back, right?
Okay.
And then the table next to us gets served by our server. They get seated, they eat, and then she gives them their check, and we're still just sitting there. Mind you, I have a plane to catch, so I can't just sit here forever until she feels like something we do it. She's not coming back. So I have to get up and go find the bartender and say, my waiter's not coming back. How am I supposed to pay? It's like, oh, I'm sorry. I'll go get her. Goes and gets her. And it takes a while for her to even come back after I, go to her coworker and tell her what's going on. So she comes back and she just looks at, my girlfriend and gives her the check, still doesn't look at me, doesn't apologize or anything like that. So now in my head, it's just like, and what I have to be careful of is I'm thinking I'm wrong for one to speak up because it might be embarrassing to my girlfriend, it might be embarrassing around me, but the rebuttal that I had from, Dr. Chianti was, you can't be embarrassed to stand up for yourself. You can't be embarrassed, if someone's doing something that's mistreating you, you can't be embarrassed to say something about that. Like, you can always pull up a manager and say, this, and that happened. But it's like the fact that you have to do that and the fact that I was taken so off guard, I didn't think to pull up a manager. I didn't tip her. And that's one of the only times I didn't tip. Like, I drew a line right through the tip. And it's like, she expected that. When I walked in, I was I was a typical Black man. He doesn't this and that. And like, I fell for it. Like she ran me through the whole thing and I ended up not tipping, which may or may not have been what she was thinking the whole time. So it's like, you feel some type of way for speaking up. And, now people are looking at me because I have to bring it to everybody's attention. And then I still don't tip, so they can still talk bad about me when I leave. Like I knew it. Like, and then I fit into that stereotype now.
Yes. I mean, it's hard though, because I feel like a lot of times I guess by you making that action, you fit into a stereotype, but what's better, complacency and saying nothing or doing nothing or not having a boundary? I mean, I find myself in that boat so much. Like, like when I was recently at the airport, I went to Orlando and I went to go sit down. And when I'm sitting down, I sit next to like this couple. It was the only like area that was open. And when I went, maybe they had a flight, maybe they had to go to the bathroom, something, but like I sat down, and as soon as I sat down, they both kind of just like glared at me. And then I glared at them. I just came, gave them like a little head nod, just, hey, I'm here. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Be concerned about.
Right.
They kind of just gave me this look, and then he just tapped her on the shoulder and they got up and moved. I mean, maybe they had somewhere to be, maybe, but it seemed very, just a little bit too convenient for that to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Small stuff like that, you tend to notice it. You know what I mean? Especially us being Black men, like I said, you notice stuff like that. This stuff happens to me all the time. Like I remember when I first started teaching down in Snow Hill. You know what I mean? That's where I started. I was in Salisbury, went to college there, graduated, got a job in Snow Hill, and I found myself for the first time having to be a black man that didn't have his white mother. So I felt like it was the first time where I was actually being viewed as a black person. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah.
I felt like when I was growing up in Frederick, everyone knew who I was and knew my mom. So, maybe I think that my experience is a little watered down, if you will. You know what I mean? So I didn't
What do you mean? Like, what's different when you're with your mom versus when you're with, like, by yourself? Like, how?
when I was younger, it was always, I mean, I wouldn't say it was easier. We used to get glares, like we'd go shopping somewhere and people would like look at her and then look at me and be a little confused. Like, is that his mom? Because he's a little too dark. Maybe he was adopted. I mean, I think what's hilarious is like, when I have my mom pop into my classroom and then she'll come in and visit and I'll be like, this is my mom. And all the kids are just like, no,
No, it's not.
that's not why you lying. I mean, like we do look alike. I mean, we really,
Yeah, that. Yeah.
but I will say, like, as a kid, it was strange. I mean, I didn't really notice why I was getting glares. I just thought people were staring to stare until I got a little bit older, and then I started to realize, like, oh, okay, I see what's happening here. You know what I mean? But I mean, growing up here, in school, I never really felt anything. I never really went through anything, and I think it might have been because of my experience, like I said, being somebody who had a white mother, and people know who she was in the community. I think maybe my experience could have been a little bit watered down. Maybe I didn't get that rich experience of what it would be like until I got down there and I didn't have any name attached to me. It was just me.
Right.
You know what I mean? When people first see me, the last thing they think is he's white at all. You know what I mean? Like, and that's something I tell people all the time too. Like when people see me, that's what I am labeled as, and that's why I identify as black, because that's what people see.
Right.
I used to play the game in high school when I would fill out the little demographic chart every year. I would change my race just to. It was really funny. 8th grade black, 10th grade white, 11th grade. I was like, well, I'm just as white as I am black. I thought it was hilarious. Love trying to people. You know what I mean? But when I got to Salisbury and I was down there teaching, that's when I really got the experience, like really being viewed as somebody of color. And wow, man.
I feel like when you realize that people are judging you by your color, it's usually not a good thing. It's usually something that they do negative or,
Say,
right? Yeah, those sideline, because some jokes have truth to them, and there's people out there that will make some harsh jokes like they're playing with you, but they're not.
Yeah, no, they're saying what they think.
Yeah.
And sometimes you gotta really pick your spots. I mean, we used to go to the river. You remember the river?
Yeah, I still go there.
I mean, it's like, okay, yeah, you still got a spot up. Yeah, you still be going up there. I mean, we used to go up there, and I mean, some of the people, just checking in.
Yep. Hey, I still wave. People look at me like I am just, why is he here? I'm waving everybody on the golf cart. They're turning the other way. I still do that. Look at me used to do back in the day.
It's great. I remember when I was younger there too. Like that was the first ever fist fight I got into, and the last one I ever got into.
Yeah, was that the river? I didn't know that.
12 years old, man. Back in the trails. And like you said, somebody made a joke, right? It all started as a joke. I can't even remember what the joke was.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the joke was. But it started off funny. Like I even laughed. I was like, that's pretty funny. Like good one. Moving on.
Yeah.
Stop. Like it was a good 5 minutes of just drilling me and drilling me and drilling me. And I was like, all right, well, I have a choice to make.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can just be known as the kid that's just going to let people say and do whatever they want, or I'll be known as the kid that, gets his ass beat or hopefully doesn't get his ass beat. And
right.
That's what I did. And I mean, it was scary. In hindsight now, I'm, being 30, looking back at it, I was in the woods with 6 different kids.
Yeah.
I thought were my friends, and in reality, none of them were my friends because they were all laughing and thinking it was hilarious until I did something and then it wasn't funny. And then I didn't hang out with those kids ever again. Like that was it. Like,
yeah,
you all were just like, oh, he's crazy. Well, wasn't I?
And were you crazy for defending yourself?
No. And y'all are crazy for putting me in that position. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the crazy thing, how it can be flipped so easily.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Another time out there too, it was me and this kid. Who was it? I can't remember who I was with. And we were just, down there you had a golf cart. That's how you got around, right?
Right.
This is before I had my golf cart license, my first ever license. So this is before I had that. So I was just walking around the trailer park, you know what I mean? And then we found like this big like lot. And as a kid, you know, tall grass, empty land, I just thought it was woods. I didn't see it as like somebody's property.
Yeah.
And so I was just sitting there, literally. We had sticks and we were just like swinging the sticks. That's tall grass, right? And I see this like guy staring at me, like I'm like, huh, what the hell is he looking at, right?
Yeah.
What's that about? So I'm checking that out, and I'm thinking he's just like, oh, just checking kids out playing, ha ha ha, no big deal. Here he comes around the corner, hot.
Yeah.
What in the F are you doing? N-word this, N-word that, yada, yada, yada. Take me to your house, blah, blah, blah. I just started walking away. I didn't know what to do. It was like legitimate fear. It's like, this is a grown man screaming at me at the time.
Yeah. You're
all the things I've only ever really seen on TV.
right.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't really know how to react. Oh, man, what a time. Now back to my grandma's. Grandma wasn't happy. Grandma threw me on the golf cart, said, take me over there. You know what I mean? Danny she don't play, but
Yeah.
Just small stuff like that, man. You don't realize, how vulnerable you are just because of the way you look by doing something. I was a kid.
Yeah. I mean,
Fun.
I think the sad thing is about that whole story is that, or just about this topic in general, is it's usually the adults that portray the hate to the kids, and then the kids go out into the world, and then that's how they feel like they should act. Because we all had all different colored friends growing up, but it wasn't until the adults started to infiltrate and say that this race does this or acts like that, where the kids started treating the kids different. Like it's a learned behavior. So it's like,
Really is.
we're still learning hate. Like we're still going to learn hate. And it's like the other side of it is like, as a black man, if I do something that's proper or if I talk articulate, then, oh, you're too white. Oh, you're acting too white.
Yeah, what is that? Why are you?
Or it's like,
You're too good.
it's either like it's too white, like why are you talking like that? Or it's like, oh, you're so white, like you can hang out with us white guys now. But it's just like like you're not like one of them. Come on with us.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you mean because I'm controlling my emotions, I'm not screaming, I'm not sagging my pants or playing rap music or doing all these stereotypes, that I'm okay with you now? That's the fakest thing I ever heard. And it's just like, it happens all the time.
Hey, it really is a funny thing. The amount of times I've heard people say things to me like, you're different.
Yeah.
How so? Elaborate. Tell me more.
Yeah.
When people say things like that, they just stuff their foot in their mouth.
Yeah, they don't know what to say.
Get to listen to them spiral. And I will say, honestly, I do think sometimes it does come from a place of, I wouldn't even say anger, hatred, or any negative emotion. I think sometimes legitimately comes from shock. Like, I do think that there are, don't get me wrong, there's the percentage of people out there that say things, and when they say them, you get to see exactly who they are.
Right.
I've seen those people. But I've also been around people, man, who haven't been exposed to Black people or the Black experience. And when they are exposed to it, they don't know how to react without saying something that sounds ridiculous because they've never been exposed or they don't even know what to say.
Yeah, that's true.
I do feel for those people. I do, because like sometimes those people end up overcompensating or, trying to like say things like, well, come on, man, I voted for Barack Obama. Like, like that, like,
yeah.
like,
yep.
Oh, come on, man. I love Tiger Woods. He's my favorite.
Friend's Black. Yeah, all that.
Stuff like that. It's like, you don't have to say that to me. Like, I don't need you to tell me how you relate to Black people.
Yeah, that confirmation is not needed.
You are cool with me for just being you.
Be normal. Just be a person.
Yourself. Be yourself.
And it's like throughout the years, you come across these situations, and it's like it slowly changes the way you look at the world. Because I remember when I worked at a used car dealership, right? Out of high school, I thought I was going to be a mechanic, right? So I remember I'm working at this used car dealership, and I'm cleaning, I'm moving cars, parking cars, changing oil, stuff like that, just basic stuff. And the owner, he's never usually there, but he comes in, once or twice a week and kind of looks around and yells at everybody, and then puts on his leather jacket and just leaves. And it's like, one day he was like, I'm missing some keys off the board. And I know you took them. Like, it wasn't even a question. I know you took them, right? So I was like, oh no, I'm like, I didn't take no keys. Mind you, the car is still in the parking lot. So you think if I take the car keys, I would take the car? So he looks at me and he's like, oh, that freeze. He looks at me and he's like, if you were me, would you believe me? Oh, I froze.
There you go.
That freeze? Okay.
Yeah, you're back.
So he says, I know you took the keys, but it's like, if I took the keys, why is the car still in the lot? Like, why would I just steal keys? Right?
What are you going to do with this?
What's the point of that? So he looked at me dead in my face and said, if you were me, would you believe you? What? That's the first time someone's ever told me something like that. Like,
Question is, though,
I didn't even know how to answer that question. And it was like, after that, I ended up leaving and stuff like that. But it was like, what? Like I didn't even know how to answer that question. Like, would you believe me what? Because the way I look? Is that what you mean? And it's just like, situations like that, it's like they build up over time. So it's like, you get older and it's like, you have to be careful of what irritates you and what sets you off, because people have been poking at you your whole life as a kid, as a teenager and stuff.
eventually,
But now as an adult, you have to know how to disperse that energy properly, because you may be in a relationship, you may have a family, you may have a different job or a career where it's like, I can't let all this outside stuff keep letting me lose focus, keep putting weight on me, keep stressing me out, keep putting anxiety on me, because all that energy that goes out left and right, and you get in these conversations, you go back and forth with people, and you get in road rage, and you yell at the customer service person, and it's like the reaction is no longer matching the situation.
Yeah, you're overreacting.
Yeah, because there's so much built up stuff over time where it's like, I had enough of this. Like, I've been getting poked for 20 years for being black. So, on this given day, this person,
This is one.
Yeah, this is it.
One.
Right. And it's just like, we have to be so careful of that, because it's like, as men in general, we take on all this weight and all these emotions, and we have to just baby spoon feed it to people so they can actually accept it. Because if you come in too strong, it's like, nothing's going to be delivered and accepted, reciprocated. So it's like, we have to figure out how to take all these emotions and all the outside stuff from the world and, figure out what we're going to do with them and how to move forward, because keep going back and keep complaining about the same thing is going to have you spiral and bring up the same emotions. Like, I don't want to keep going through the same emotions, I did at the car dealership or I did at the airport. So I don't always want to revisit them unless I'm doing it from a place where I feel like I can help, or to bring awareness that this does happen. But in my everyday life, my energy, it can't be focused on those things. It has to roll off, because if it doesn't, the mental weight will start to drain me. And then that taps into my creativity. If my creativity, my passion, and my peace get tainted, I'm cutting it out, whether it's a person, place, a job, a room, whatever it is. If it starts to tank that, I know it's not a good thing. So, I don't know if you felt like that. I don't know if you feel like over time, you feel like the way you have to portray your emotions is tougher, or if you feel like it hasn't been so intense where you have to outside more out, like, what's your experience?
Like, for me, one of my weakest points for me is I turn everything into a big joke, like, because to me, some of the experiences I've had in my life, or some of the things I've lived through, like, it's so ridiculous that I'd rather just be like, you know what, that's wild that even happened.
Yeah.
Let's make light of it. Let's try to poke fraud at it. Let's make it funny. Let's try to find a way to laugh about it, to move on. Now, I think that's a great strategy to an extent.
Yeah, it's the defense mechanism.
Yeah, and it's a great strategy to an extent.
Yeah.
At certain points, you're going to have to really just look at the problem and take it serious, So that's why I say it's one of my weak points. Like that's something I can work on. But whenever something is really hard for me and really challenging for me, the first thing I do is make fun. That's just what I do.
Yeah.
Try to make jokes about it and then move forward with it. Because if I don't, I get really down. I get sad. I get depressed, and I just think about it, think about it, and think about it. So for me, that's something that I try to do. But as I've gotten older, I've tried to not, take situations that are big and try to turn them into a joke because it's not funny. You know what I mean? Like, and that's hard. That's hard for me because that's what I've done my whole life. So that's something I'm trying to work on. So something that I've done better about it is just try to like look at the problem, stare it on and straight on, and just say, hey, like this is what it is, and you got to live with it. It's not going to be easy, but don't cover it up and make a joke of it because you're just going to have to revisit it when you're done laughing. Like that's, you know what I mean? Like that's how.
Yeah.
It is,
Yeah, really. I mean, and
laugh all you want, but then once the laughter's done and you have to sit in the silence, there it is again.
Yeah.
So you've got to figure out a way to just really take it and move with it. I mean, something that's been really great for me, and I mean, I don't do it as nearly as much as I should. It's just sitting in silence, meditation. People call it meditation. I don't know if I would call it that because I'm not trained. I don't have any sort of background, but there are times where, I'll come home from work and as soon as I get home, I'll look at Leah and I'll say, babe, just 10 minutes, please.
Yeah.
10, 15 minutes. That's all I need. Just give me 10, give me 15. And man, she's the best because, she's with the baby all day and working at home. So, I mean, I can't, hats off to her. I applaud her because, everything she does all day is wild. But that 10 minutes is essential because I have to sit in the silence, deal with the things that I had to go through that day. It could be small, it could be big. But dealing with that and then trying to, reflect on if I handled things correctly or if I overreacted or
Right.
I was the best version of myself today,
Right.
80% of the time, the answer is no. I wasn't the best version of myself because you're always your biggest critic. But I wonder where that comes from too, right?
Right.
Why am I always putting myself in this situation where I feel like I have to be perfect? I can't mess up.
But who are you trying to be perfect for?
Honestly, I think it really just stems from my experience in college. When I was in college in my internship, I'm not going to say names, not going to use names because, for me, there was a lot of great names that I could use and tell the story. There's also some names of people that did some things and said some things that are up for people to analyze and, use their opinion and discuss where it came from. But when I was down there in school, I was doing an internship at a middle school outside of Salisbury. It wasn't in Salisbury. And when I was doing an internship there, I was working with this lady, and she was, don't get me wrong, the experience working with her, and to this day, I will still say this, she gave me my professionalism because of how hard she was on me.
Yeah.
She created that. I would have never had it. Never would have been able to make it on my own. Never would have created that because I didn't have the work ethic at the time. So I can do a lot of through this story, I can do a lot of, analyzation of myself and say, there's things I could have done better. But I think once I didn't fit the mold and it was seen that there was nothing that could be done that could make me be a certain way, wanted nothing to do with me. And it was hard because I questioned myself. I was like, I didn't straight up look myself in the mirror and ask myself, are you an idiot? Like, are you really just not getting it? Are you cut out to do this job? Is this really what it's going to be like for you? Like, it got to the point where I would go to teach and I would be in that room teaching and I would sweat out my entire work outfit in 20 minutes because I was so stressed. Did I say this right? Did I handle that right? And all feedback that I would get after any lesson was, so what do you think you did well? Be the first question I get.
Yeah.
And it felt like a trick question.
Yeah.
I'd say, well, I think I did a good job introducing the target. Answer would always be, yeah, you did okay. Here's where you went wrong. And then just give me this list of things that I need to do better. And with that, reflect, like I said, so remember I was saying I felt like I never really got the experience, right? So at first I just took it as like, okay, I got to be better. Like she's right. There's some things that I can't do better. So
Yeah.
I went home. I would stay up late, get up early, do the best that I could. Now, be honest with you, I was 21, 22, college student. You know what I mean? I wasn't making the greatest choices. There were times where, I'd stay up late, go to my internship the next day. Shouldn't never have done that. You know what I mean? But you live and you learn.
Yeah.
I was in her room. I wasn't doing that because I was petrified.
Right.
I felt like if I did anything wrong, I was going to get kicked out of school. And I've never even heard of people getting kicked out of school. So that's why I was like, my flashes were up. I was like, number one, I'm the first one in my family to go to college. Can't mess this up.
Right.
I'm already in so much debt. Can't really change my major now. It got to a point where I wasn't sure if I wanted to do it. And we were working together for, I'd say, I don't know, like 3-4 months. And none of it wasn't getting better. It was progressively getting worse. There was one moment in time where my flashes went off in my brain. I was like, you know what, Dalton? I don't think this is about you. Maybe it was at the beginning. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I have no problem like admitting that. At the beginning I wasn't the best. So maybe it was at the beginning, but I really was trying. You know what I mean? Giving it my all. And one day I went to go grade some assessments. And I'm going to grade them, but I was never allowed to have access to the computer just for privacy reasons, which makes sense. So I had to do everything on paper. And I had a paper grade book. And still to this day, I'm not the most organized guy in the world. So I'm going to say this, to take this part of the story with a grain of salt. I'm not the most organized guy in the world. I lose things all the time.
Right.
Like I said, I was hyper vigilant, man. I was nervous. I was stressed. So the likelihood of me losing something like this is, to me, less than 2%.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm going to take, grade these papers or whatever. And I'm in there early trying to grade them, and I can't find my paper grade sheet. It's got all the kids' names on it. And that's a privacy issue. Can't lose that. So it's like 5 minutes. I can't find it anywhere, right? But I'm there before she gets there. She comes in and sits down, and the first thing she says to me is, "Can I see your grading sheet?" Now, mind you, she's never wanted to see this forever.
Yeah.
Never wanted to see it. Never been interested. Come to find out, as an intern, at that time, I didn't even realize the stuff that I was doing in grading, she would just take and throw it away. It was just like busy work. I had no idea.
Oh, come on.
Found that out later when I looked in the trash can and found everything that I was, doing in the trash can. This is great. So she goes, "Let me see the grading sheet." And I was like, "Can't find it. Have you seen it?" And the look on her face, it looked like somebody that it looked like a parent that caught their kid in the cookie jar. Like,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah.
And she was like, it's a huge, huge privacy issue, right? And I was like, "Yeah, I know. I can't find it anywhere." She was like, "Did you take it home?" And I said, "Well, normally I don't. So I can't, I don't know where it is." And she was just quiet and then walked out of the classroom. Didn't say a word. So now she's letting me fester over this. That's what she's doing.
Yeah.
Letting me get nervous, stressed.
Those mind games. Yep.
It was I didn't realize what was happening. Still at this point, I'm not doing that. That was where it kind of like hit me. I was like, maybe this is what's going on. So I leave that day. I call my mom, and I'm almost crying on the phone. I'm so upset. I'm like, "Mom, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I lost this paper, la la la." And she's just like, "Dalton, I don't think you lost it." And I was like, "Well, I think well, maybe I," she was like, "I don't think you lost it, Dalton. This sounds awful." So they end up now calling somebody else from the school and switching and getting somebody else to come watch me teach. I don't think they've ever sent so many people to come watch someone teach ever. It's wild.
Yeah.
It should have felt like a compliment, but it wasn't. It was "I dare you to mess up," until this woman came. And I wish I could use her name, but I would want her permission first. She
Yeah.
came in and she saved me, man.
Yeah.
She saved me. She came in, she watched me teach for the first time. I was petrified when I saw her. She came in and she was very nice to the other teacher, and everybody was really, everything was copacetic, blah, blah, blah. Everyone was really nice. She came in, watched me teach, and she said, after I was done teaching, she pulls me out the vestibule. It's a little breezeway, if you will, vestibule, making it sound fancy. Pulls me out in the vestibule and she goes, you need to take a deep breath. I was like, what? She was like, you are okay. She said, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what people are seeing and saying about you because I don't see it. I think there's something else happening here. And I need you just to trust me and stay strong through this process. So she told me.
Right.
3 weeks goes by. They end up sending in the leader of the teaching program, the principal of that school, my supervisor, who I was just talking about. There was another man there. I honestly couldn't remember who he was. All I know is that there was a lot of people in fancy clothes, and I was stressed because basically what the conversation was is, are we kicking you out of college, or are we moving you somewhere else? And we sat down, the lady that was teaching me says, and I'll never forget these words, never forget them. I have exhausted all of my ideas and strategies on you. Nothing is working. Nothing is sticking. I don't think you can do this job. It's best for you to go somewhere else. What she told me.
Then what do you think at that moment? Like, you're back in that room and she's talking to you. Like, what do you think at that moment? Do you freeze? Do you say something back? Like, what happened?
Well, my mom, before I went to this meeting, talked to my mom, I was like, Mom, I don't know how I'm going to do this. And she said, I don't care, cuss her out. Say whatever you want. I'll just get it off. I don't care. Whatever happens, happens. And I'm like, well, that's what they want.
Yeah.
That would just make her so happy.
That makes
Would have been the best. So she said everything she said, and I picked my head up and I said, it's unfortunate that you feel that way. I feel like your style wasn't best for me, but I thank you for everything that you told me. Simple.
Yeah, that's how you have to carry it.
So left it at that. Left that meeting, ended up going to another school. Everything was fine. People came out to watch me teach. Then the county was offering me a job position in 3 weeks. Within 3 weeks, I'm almost getting kicked out of school.
Yeah. But I wonder, like, when I think of that story, I wonder what happens if you don't go through the hard part with that teacher. Because I learned a lot of things from the tough people in my life. And like, my favorite example is my dad. I told him, like, nobody was as scary or as intimidating as you. So I had an authority problem growing up. Like, it wasn't, but he was so tough and stern in so many ways. I learned so many things from him that I use to this day. But back then it was tough. I was all the time. I was always on eggshells. It was tough. But I go out to the real world. It's like, none of this stuff is as scary as you think, or as hard to say something as you think when you come out a household. But it's like, people say all the time to me, like, why do you think there's good and there's bad in the world? Because we get good from both. Like, the villains in our life teach us some tough lessons and they suck while we're going through them. But at the end, we're like, that made me tougher.
I'm very happy I lived through it because, like I said, I didn't have any professional edge. You know what I mean? Like, I was always the guy that would, and this, I'm not trying to sound like hockey because like this is going to sound that way, but like,
No.
I was always the guy that would just be like, people were like, well, he's nice, he's cool, he's good, he's doing good enough. Come on, let him be. You know what I mean? Like, he should be able to be successful because we know that he's not giving his best, but he's good enough. He's nice enough.
Right.
Like, that was always really my experience, right? Like, do the bare minimum, skate by. That's what I did.
Right.
Always, didn't show up early for work when I was when I was younger. We worked together. I'd get there 1 week before, have to leave to go get my lunch. That was the guy I was. It was no preparation. It was just boom, 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 do whatever. Then I went in this situation and I was like, nope, can't do that.
Yeah.
That way, everything that I did was extremely calculated. I mean, back then, I think I was more organized at that time in my life than I am right now.
Yeah. I mean, 'cause you had to be, right?
Investing, right?
Yeah.
But no, I mean, it was essential. It really was, because at that time I had a choice. Like I called my mom all the time, like, where, mom, help me. And I could have, she said to me, if you want to quit, just quit.
Mm.
Like, I won't judge you. I get it. It's hard. This is ridiculous. Stop doing it. But I was like, well, guess what? No, what's my plan? I've already put this much time in,
Yeah.
effort in. And when I do it, when I'm not being ridiculed, I truly enjoy what I'm doing.
Right.
So what else would I go spend my time doing? Grabbing at straws and trying to figure out what I'm going to be. I was like, nah, man, you got to just figure this out. And I'm so happy I did. To this day, man, I still think her. I
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
I really do. I do. I hope there's a day that we can sit down and talk.
I mean, I think there would be if you allow it, I think.
I would love it, but I don't know if that would ever happen, just because of, you would have to admit you were wrong.
Yeah.
Like, that's it right there. Like, but I'm gonna tell you, man, she's the reason that I try so hard at my job.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like some people that are the villains in our life, it's like, they shaped us though, but they put us through hell. They put us through hell to shape us. And we almost broke. Yeah. But
It was rough.
yeah.
But it was essential.
So like now talking about, well, there's a couple things I can take away from that. And of course there's the villains that we get good stuff from. And you talk a lot about how much you joke, right? So for you, like what I feel and what I see, because I've known you for so long, is like that next shift for you is those moments where you don't make a joke out of it. Like, like the best advice given to me was like, George, like stop smiling and laughing at everything. And then it'll change everything from your relationships to your job to, how much money you make, your boss relationships. Like when certain things are like non-negotiably not funny to you and like are serious topics, people take you more seriously in certain arenas. So like when you talk about education and stuff like that, shouldn't be nothing funny when you're talking to like, a manager or your boss or a supervisor. Like,
Yeah.
the joke, you be like, hey, let them laugh it off. But then let them know that you're about your business too. And like that's how I would elevate, because it's like people want you to laugh and stuff all the time, but they want you to brush everything off too. And they want to throw in all these side comments too while you're laughing, which are really jabs. When you have those moments where like, oh, this whole conversation is a serious conversation for me, I'm not going to laugh this one off. You elevate. People talk about that, how professionalism, how it grows, how it's growing with you. So you know how that woman made you act so professional, and you're like, man, I need to get back to that. Yeah, you just said what you need to do out loud to me. You already know. So you've done it before. So all that stuff she was implementing, do some of that. Do some of that stuff. Think about how her personality was and how she got you to change.
It wasn't even like a question. It was everything with her was non-negotiable.
That's what I'm saying. But what are your non-negotiables? Do you have any?
I believe I do.
Because boundaries and non-negotiables, I speak about are very important, because when you have those boundaries, it's you protecting your state of mind, like your family, your peace, all that stuff, right? So
Like, that's the first thing that popped in my head was family. Like, Leah, my daughter, my mother, my grandmother, like like disrespect to them is that's a non-negotiable. Like,
right.
I don't like, that's just not something that I even. So I guess, yeah, there are certain things that I don't find funny. I just found them. You know what I mean? Like, that's not funny to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't find that funny at all.
And that's just you, like, those are your morals and values. Like, those are your non-negotiables. Like, no, these are serious to me. Like, this is my family. This is my livelihood. This is that. Like, I don't joke about these things. We can go joke about football or wrestling or this and that. But once you come to this arena, I mean, and that's how I carry it. Like, we can joke about this and that. But once you start to come for like me or my family or anything or anybody that I love and care about,
now we're a different person. Yeah, we're in a different world now.
You're in a different world now. And the thing is, what gets lost with men now is when you talk to a man to man, they want to go tell their girlfriend and their wife and their mom and no, I pulled you aside. If I wanted the whole world to know what was going on, I would have made a scene in front of everybody. But I was always
Out of the decency and the respect that I have for you. So I would expect the same.
right. And it's not reciprocated. And it's like, I have to get out of a lot of rooms and a lot of arenas because what happens when you tell somebody something that you're trying to, get clarity on, and they bring other people in, other people throw in different stories and different details and all types of different stuff, and it's tainted. But that's what happens. It's like the game of telephone. I didn't talk to you so you could play telephone with everybody else. So now I have to stop dealing with a lot of people because it's like, well, if you're going to gossip and do all that stuff, like that's for women and kids. If we're going to do that as men, like I'm not going to do that. I was told like gossip is for women and kids. But when men start doing that, I'm not staying in that arena because we have to lead in a way that we can uplift other people in their own arena. See, a lot of people miss that women can recreate themselves over and over throughout life. New crafts, new jobs, they upgrade their career. But a lot of men I see stay stagnant. And it's like you feel like you're unsupported because you're always providing and, you're giving so much to your family. But it's like the other piece is, what do you have for you? What can you do for you? Because a lot of your happiness is what you can do outside of your job, out work, outside the family. Like the 10 minutes is a start, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I tell my clients at least twice a day, this 10 minutes to yourself, with no honest, because the big part of it is there's always going to be people coming at you. And what happens, which is disheartening, is people that you may have known, whether they're family or their friends or teachers or whatever it is, they're not who they used to be when you were so close to them, when you were so attached, right?
Yeah.
People always hold on to what was in relationships and friendships. They hold on to what was. And that's why it's like, you have to have perspective on what's going on now. Like you have to be present. Like people are always worried about the past or they're worried about the future. And then when you forget to be present, the people that are watching you, that are inspired by you, like they can see that too. Like when you're a shell of yourself because you're emotionally checked out, because you're stressed out about this and that, like people see that. And it's just like, you're forgetting to live your life.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're so concerned about this and that. So being present is definitely big, but also don't get fooled thinking that people in your life are going to go back to where they were when they were 12, 13, 15. Like, it's not the same. And I don't want you to spend energy that you could spend, with your family and growing, your household with people who don't have your best intentions, but you're holding on to what was. And it's just like, it's easier on the outside looking in to see stuff like that. But when it's just like, that's my boy, that's my homegirl, that's, my aunt, that's my cousin, whoever.
Yeah, exactly.
Like people change over time. So that's why like perspective is so important, because it's the memories you have. If you're present, you can have the memory, you have the story of what you're at. Like it's not about the stuff, it's the memory. So it's like, just because you're not friends with the same people, you still have the same stories when you were 15, 16, 20, right? But you're like different. So they don't cross paths as often as they used to, but you still have those memories, and people are forgetting to be present and live their life and, create those, because stuff isn't what you remember when stakes are high, when people go to jail or prison, when people, when tragedy happens, stuff doesn't matter. So it's like, it doesn't matter. The first thing you think about, I wish I would have did this. Like, can you tell this person I love them? Like, are they going to be here? Like, you think about the people, the relationships, and those experiences. So I think it's healing to have perspective and to take a step back. Like, okay, let me look at my life. Like, okay, I love my wife. I love my daughter. Like, look at this house. Like, I get to walk outside in my own grass and walk in my own yard. Like, people don't have that. Like,
my car, like,
I can get up wherever I want to. I can drive my car wherever. I can go across the world if I want to. Like, there's nothing stopping me. And it's like, perspective of what you have, because you'll never have it again. Like, you'll never have this type of free time again. Like, you and your wife's schedule will never be the same again. You'll never make the same money again. Like, your schedule looks different even next year. So it's like, enjoy what you have now, because it's going to look different year after year after year. So don't be in it.
Yeah.
I don't forget to be in it.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because like I have one of my homeboys. I don't know if you ever met Seth. We were in the teaching program together, and right when we both got out of the program, we both started teaching. And at the time, he was like, I can't remember his exact age. He's like 4 or 5 years older than me. But we don't really, I don't see him that much anymore. I mean, he's over there, I'm over here. We might talk like once every 2-3 months, if that. You know what I mean? But still, great. Like you said, like things change, times change, right?
Right.
At the time, he had a son, and I was just living on my own in Salisbury. I had a dog, so, and back then I was still skateboarding heavy. That's what I was doing to, relieve my stress. And that was my outlet. So I'd wake up in the morning, 6 a.m., go on the skate park. What the world is wrong with you? Dude, who does that? Me, because nobody else is there, because I was asked. I didn't want anyone to see me fall. So I was there at 6 a.m. And I'd call Seth, and I'd be like, Seth, you coming to the park? And we would always we'd have plans a week in advance to come to the park on Saturday at 6 a.m. That was
right.
6 a.m. comes around, call him, no answer. 6:30, no answer. 6:45, no answer. Now I'm mad, because the plan was to skate.
Yeah.
Why are you messing with the itinerary?
Yeah.
Well, it's because you got a kid and a fiance. That's
yeah, perspective. You didn't have it.
I didn't understand. I didn't understand at all. I was like, you said you were skating Saturday. You're not here. Not what we agreed on. We were supposed to go to Backstreet after and have a beer and a burger. You're ruining everything.
Yeah.
How my morning is supposed to go.
Right.
Hey, so mad. I talked to him when I was waiting for my flight in Orlando. I called him while I was drinking a beer, just sitting there. And first thing I said to him was like, I'm sorry, bro. On me. That's on me.
Yes, no.
I was like, remember all those times I would just dog you for not coming to the park or not showing up or being late or not wanting to stay at my house and hang out all night and watch the boxing match. He's like, well, I get it now, don't you? I was like, oh, I get it. And that's on me.
Yeah.
Perspective is a big thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think a lot of times I think a big issue we have in our society, not just with all people, regardless of color, ethnicity, whatever. People can't admit when they're wrong.
Right. They definitely don't.
I mean, that's something I really love about myself. I'll tip my hat to that. I have no problem telling you if I was wrong. I'll tell you. It's on me. Shouldn't have done that. Bad call. Bad move. Hopefully you can forgive me. I have no problem telling you when I'm wrong. I can do it within 30 seconds. Like, I've got no problem with it. You know what I mean? I just feel like people have to get better at that. I think if you could just be honest with others and just be like, hey, you know what? That's on me. Probably should have done it. Probably should have said it. However people take the apologies on them. But I think that a lot of times we lose that. We get so caught up in our perspective or our point of view, or something happened to me, so this is why I did it. So because of what happened to me, I'm doing this now, and you should be able to understand that. Mm-hmm. Like, no, that's not how that works, actually. Can't just treat people however you want, because that's not how that works, man. So go ahead and fix that.
Yeah, you
know what I mean? Like, something people like, I just think if people could just be honest and say, you know what, that's on me, should have done it.
Yeah.
That people can move forward.
But there's something wrong with their heart. Their heart has been hardened, or their heart can't take, like, I was wrong, because whether in their household they couldn't be wrong, or they feel like in life, or they feel like society, like, there are a lot of reasons why people can't admit stuff. And a lot of times because they're afraid how they're going to be looked at by other people. So people don't ever want to say that they're wrong. For me, I come off self-righteous. Like, if I know something, I may talk about it, and it comes off self-righteous. Like, I'm trying to get you to believe what I believe, but I'm just passionate about the thing. So, I work on that. And, another thing is charming, right? So when I first went to therapy, my therapist, before she said 2 words to me, was like, you're very charming. That probably got you a lot of way through life. Man, what kind of opening is that? So it's like, people, even in therapy, people will bash you for having any type of shine or glow or passion. Because mind you, this is a licensed therapist that's telling me, like, I shouldn't be like happy or shine or have a glow. Like, am I supposed to have a cloud over my head just because I'm here talking to you? That's not fair. It's not fair. So it's like,
Take me as I am, right?
yeah, and another thing is I don't care about anything. I'm nonchalant, but I do care about a lot of things, but I can't care about everything. So, it comes off like, oh, he doesn't care about anything. He's this, he's that, but I don't have the capacity to care about every little thing that goes on because a lot of it has nothing to do with me. I can't change it. If I never even heard this, I wouldn't even cross my mind. So it's like, it's not that I don't care about certain things. It's just like, I know they're irrelevant. So I let things roll off. And as I looking in, the feedback to me was like, I don't care about anything. I'm too nonchalant. But what's the balance?
Yeah.
You know?
It's hard because then we get back to that conversation of like non-negotiables, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that. I don't know what the balance is. I truly don't know. To me, like I said, I think the biggest thing is when you're presented with something that comes to you and lands in your lap. It just depends on the size of the issue, and how much fight you have in it. You know what I mean? Like for me, it could be on the day. Like certain days, I just have time. Like,
yeah.
you know what I mean? I'm like, you know what? What did you mean by that? Tell me more. Or it could be, somebody says something, I'm just like, let it go. Just let it go. I don't have time for that today. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I guess it's really just situational day by day and what version of Dalton you got that day. Who woke up that day? Is it the guy that wants to make jokes or is it the guy who's got non-negotiable time?
Yeah.
It really is all.
It is a balance of both because not everybody deserves the same energy. And, people are going to disagree with me on it, but the golden rule is treat people the way you want to be treated. But I was told to treat people the way they treat you because, a lot of people overcompensate or are in all these one-sided relationships, just draining themselves emotionally. And it's just like, what are you holding on to? Treat that person the way they treat you. Like, do they hit you up? Like, do they ever have anything for you? Like, I just talk to you, or they always need something. Like, if you pay attention to how people treat you, it'd be easier to get these non-negotiables, more hardly drawn because it's like, when you think about it, oh, well, we don't really hang out. And yeah, they went and hung out without me, but I don't even hit them up. So why would they hit me up? Like,
Yeah.
You gotta think like,
it's perspective. And I would say too, like, just like with my homie Seth, like, or my other friends down in Salisbury, like, I can't even remember the last time I really even spoke to those guys.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and no harm, no foul. Like, it's not like an issue to me, and it's not an issue to them. Like, that was my boy Alex just in the football season. I haven't talked to him in months.
Right.
He called me when the Commanders played the Steelers because he was just at the game. And he was like,
yeah,
oh, y'all lost, but I'm happy for you. I know how big this is for you. I haven't talked to him.
Yeah.
How have you been? We talked for 10 minutes. And that was it. I haven't talked to him since.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and why would I expect him to be calling me? Because I'm not calling him. Makes sense. It's no big deal. And I think as people have to just be more understanding of that. Like, we're older. Like, we're third.
Why it's like, you got to draw these lines now.
Yeah, because then when you try to do it later, people are going to laugh at you.
Yeah, it's like, man, you never been that way. Eh?
Why are you pretending?
Crazy. But, all right. So then, if we talk about perspective, we talk about, our non-negotiables and stuff like that, which I think are two important things as men, because I feel like men should lead, but not dictate. And that line gets, right? So leading, like, to me, like what I was saying is like, you can take your kid, say your kid likes dance, right? I assume you don't like ballet, but say your kid likes ballet. Give them the tools and motivate them to be the best ballet dancer they can be, even though you're not into it. If your wife starts a new, hobby, and you're not into it, all right, well, I'll still give you the stuff for it. Make sure you have time to work on it and, get as high as you want on it.
Yeah.
But when you dictate, you say, no, you're going to do this at this time. You're going to do that at that time. You're going to do this. And then we're doing that. And it's very different because you lead by giving people their own arena to be seen, to build their confidence and be uplifted. But when you dictate, it's just like, we're doing this. I know the best way. Nobody's contesting it. And I feel like some men feel like that's better because a social construct is that, men are aggressive, men dictate, men run the world, right? So a lot of dictators call themselves leaders. And it's like, I don't think you know the definition.
But I mean, barking orders or getting people to want to see your view are two different things, right? Like, I mean, like
I mean, how would you address that situation? Say there is a point that you want to get across that you're actually legitimately frustrated about, right? And it's like, how do you go about those situations? Do you let them go?
no, you can't. I think for me, the one way that I always try to like relate things to people is by giving it some, like making it something to them that they can relate to, right? Like trying to think of, for example, like think of like in school, right? Like with kids, like if I want a kid to understand why, let's just say, people from different countries migrate to other countries. Like I'm trying to get kids to understand that concept, right?
Right.
Yeah, I really want you to understand that there's something really bad happening in one place. So you're wanting to come here to this place where it's not so bad. That's a huge thing to try to get an 8-year-old to understand, right? And what can I do? So I can be like, okay, hey, John, you played a game before, right? Like you played basketball, you played football. Yeah, I played. Okay, cool. So how do you feel when people break the rules? You like it? You keep playing? Or do you migrate away from the game? I probably wouldn't keep playing. Exactly. So this is why those people do that. So like in my situation, like, okay, like, so this is how I feel. This situation happened to you that's sort of related to what I'm trying to get you to understand. I would hate it. Exactly. So this is why I feel how I feel. Do you
Yeah.
understand that? Better understanding? Like to me, that's really what I always try to do is get people to view it. Sometimes I fall short. Like I can compare something and I think it's hitting and it's not. I think that's a really good way to like try to get people to understand is be like, okay, well, how can I make this immediately tangible for you right now so you can understand what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
better it's explain yourself and your view because they don't see it. But if you can make it real for them, better chance they're going to be able to understand. They might not completely understand, but they'll at least be able to relate.
Yeah. I think it's good to have those analogies and metaphors, especially when talking to the younger generation, because that's who we have to depend on, to have better hearts and better intentions. I mean, that's how I feel like I can connect to younger people. As I start to get into speaking and to middle school kids and elementary school kids, I have to use more analogies and metaphors and stuff that they can relate to. And it's like, it's a whole different arena because I'm used to working with adults where they don't really need a whole metaphor to teach them something. I can just tell them. Sometimes I use them, but most time I'm not going to tell them, look, this is what it is. And they're like, okay. But with that younger mind, they have to be able to imagine it.
Yes.
Pick
About the hook.
yeah,
Look, how do I hook you in? Like,
try to practice that. Yeah.
now I've got your attention, right? Like, you know, I mean, I do some of the most ridiculous stuff when I'm teaching, like just
Yeah.
ridiculous. We'll be doing a vocabulary word and I'll write it on the board. I'll take all the letters and I'll write it in random places on the board and I try to make them figure out what the word is in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, while they're doing it, I've got this little microphone in my hand and I'm running around the classroom. I'm like, come on. I'm just
Yeah.
making it fun.
Yeah. You got to make it fun, make it a game.
Small stuff like that. Or like, I'll do like a talk show radio host voice. I'll do a Jamaican accent every once in a while just to throw them off.
Yes.
It's just ridiculous stuff that you wouldn't think would make a difference, but it does.
Yeah.
Small things, man.
It does. It definitely does. Because you think about the experience.
We get so caught up in like trying to do like big things to make like big differences, but you can just do like one little thing every day.
Yeah.
Build up into a huge, success. And that's kind of the way that I've been trying to approach things in my life lately. Is just if I want things to be big successes, I have to make small choices and small changes every day to make the staircase to be able to reach that goal. You know, it's we always get so caught up. I feel like as being like, okay, well, here's my big goal, and I'm just gonna do it. Well, what's the plan?
Yeah. Definitely that plan.
What's the execution? Do you have any sort of, any sort of approach to that?
Right.
Like with my program that I wanted to do, right? Like, I was like, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to have food, and I'm going to have a bus transport.
So hold on. You gotta explain that a little bit more because not everybody knows what you're talking.
And so I wanted to do a program called Soaring Scholars this year at my school. And it would just be like teaching kids, the essentials. I really wanted it to be tailored to Black boys, just in general. If I can just be upfront honest, I feel like that's just an avenue in which that's calling me. So that's just what I wanted. But after like analyzing and thinking about it, I was like, well, why limit it? If kids want to learn things, you shouldn't. I just don't think I should limit it. I think that I should say that this is who I'm tailored for. But if anyone wants to come, they should come and learn. So I'm going to teach kids just what it is to be kind, what it is to have manners, how to set a table, how to sit at a table. I remember when I was teaching across the bridge, there was this lady named Barbara Butler, and she was in charge of Haven House at an elementary school. And some of the stuff she did back then, I just couldn't understand why she was doing it. I was like, this is a waste of time. Like,
Right.
what are you doing, Miss Butler? Like, why do these kids need to know that the napkin goes on the left?
Yeah.
In the bowl and let them eat.
Right.
But it's eye-opening because then when I came to Frederick and I was working here, the way the cafeteria would look at the end of the day versus the way the cafeteria looked at that school.
Yeah. Night and day.
Hey, so I'm seeing why you do these things. So like, I
Right.
want to teach the kids like how to clean up after themselves, how to clean up the lunch table when they're done eating, how they're supposed to tie a tie, how they sit down and talk, how they should carry themselves in a certain setting or scenario, and
All important things.
yeah, that was the whole big plan, right? Um, and I sat down and I got some information from people and I talked to people, and from the people that I talked to, a lot of people were trying to warn me against working with the school versus being a separate entity.
Yeah.
And being a separate entity is nice, but you have to have a lot of things in place to be able to do that successfully and to do it in an aspect where people will take you very serious.
When you say a lot, you almost say it like it's unreachable. Why you say a lot like that? Why you say a lot like it's like, I don't know if I can knock out that list. Like what?
I think I could knock out the list. I just think that I didn't give myself the right amount of time and a time frame to knock out said list. Right? Like the list for me to do this, I should have started the first day, honestly, before summer even started. I should have been planning it at the end of the school year. I should have had everything in order in summer. So when the school year started, it was ready to go.
Right.
I didn't realize like how long things take to be able to put things in order. Like you have to have numbers, you have to have a whole curriculum. And I had bits and pieces of all these things, but I didn't have it set up in a way to where I could hand it to someone, let them analyze it, view it, and then say, okay, stamp of approval or no, here's what you need. It was just
Right.
scattered thoughts. And it was
But now you know.
and that's all great. And that's why I say I was looking at a big thing and just going, I'm just going to step up and do that instead of putting in, I didn't do any of this.
The logistics, yeah.
I just said, okay, here's the dream. Here's the end goal. Now let's do it. I didn't have any plan, you know what I mean? So then now when things were starting and then now we got halfway through the school year and now I'm just starting something and I just do a little small things. I've only ever been once so far and it was great. It was successful. It went well. And I do it. I also help the kids that I tutor and I do things with them like that as well. And I think now what I'm seeing is it can be beneficial. It can be successful. But what I'm doing now is I'm putting in small steps. Like I'm practicing something. I'm using things that I have in place. So then when I'm ready to make that jump and that huge step, I actually have some sort of foundation. Because what I did was I jumped on the plane and there was no engine and I was trying to just put it in.
Yeah.
That's what I did. And of course, that's on me. Dreams are great, but without any plan or preparation, it's just a dream.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I had to learn that the hard way. It's tough. It was tough. Not really the best thing in the world. People are like, hey, how's that program going? It isn't. But,
Yeah.
But I've got these small things, and that's okay. You know what I mean? It's about going through things, trying things, and having to learn that you can't just say, you know what, one day I'm going to do something. You got to
plan.
Gotta put the work in. Huge wake up call, but
Yeah.
it was important for me. Like I said, it was important. It was like, okay, dog, like that's great, but now you need to do something with it. So putting in the small steps now, I think it could be successful. I was talking with Trey, Trey, shout out Mr. Boucher. He's over at the church and he's trying to get me over there, so talking about how I could come in there on Saturdays and do that with the kids in the church, and that,
What do you think about that? Like, what are your thoughts?
I was thinking summertime would be great for that.
Yeah.
It's hard right now because I'm also tutoring, you know what I mean? And with teaching, grading, tutoring, I don't want to do the thing where I'm really good at this too, where I just say yes to everything
Mm.
and everything I'm doing is watered down.
Right.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There's always a way to do it. There's always a way to be successful, but I know my limits and I know what I can do. And I put myself in situations where I say yes to this, and this.
Yeah.
And then I'm doing 8 different things. And those 8 things I'm doing taste like Kool-Aid, no sugar. So it's not worth it.
Yeah. But I think there's also room for working on multiple things at once. Not too many, not too many, but you definitely do more than one thing. And then
you're the king of that.
Yeah, what I learned about planning is like the reason I can just keep dropping stuff on social media because I planned for it already. Like I'm already planning for boot camp season outdoor and it's still freezing outside, but I'm already ready. It's like I'm already ready. Like,
see, and that's something I can take from you, right? Like I have the idea, but I didn't do any of the planning, right? Like in my brain, I was so caught up in what I was doing at the time. I was like, okay, I'm doing this, and this. And then as the days are dwindling down, I'm like, oh man,
yeah,
so I would say that's something I've got to get better at. This year, I started using my phone calendar.
Yeah, I use my phone calendar every day. It's color coordinated and everything. But I'm a season ahead. You have to be a whole season ahead of planning.
That's something Leah's taught me, man. She's the best. She's the best. Just calendar on the fridge. Tells me everything that I need to know.
When I learned to plan, it's like, cause I was training independent and it's like, man, I'm gonna start teaching boot camp at this park. Pull up in a week. Ain't no plan. Nobody knows I'm coming.
Yeah,
but hey, I'm in a parking lot. I'm sitting here in the empty parking lot, just sitting here by my phone and just doing for an hour in the hot sun. This is what happens when you don't plan. This is what happens when you're not ready, and you think it's just gonna just pop off because you want it to. But I'm sitting there looking stupid. I remember teaching a boot camp when I first started training, probably 2015, and it was a challenge. So all these people signed up. So I'm in this gym. There's like 40 people in the gym, and I'm in charge of starting. I never taught a boot camp class before, not like this, not more than like 5 or 6 people. It's 40 people. I'm like, all right, everybody grab a mat. Man, people started scattering. Like, if you know a gym, there's not 40 mats in any gym. So people are scattering all over the place. My manager's like, what are you doing? And like, people start going, like, people can get in their cars and leave. And they're like, because I panicked because I wasn't prepared. And at that moment on that stage, all those people looking at you, like, I'll never forget that. So I'll always plan. Like, I'll always bring it when I do boot camp class. But after that, I went to another gym and took their boot camp class as just a member. I didn't say I trained. I didn't say I taught boot camp. I just stood in line like everybody else. Another gym took their boot camp class, and I took their cadence. I took the way they lined up, and I took, the things that I could implement. And the next time I taught that class, I had line leaders, like I had team captain, and like we were ready. Sometimes you have to like fall like flat on your face. Yeah. You'd be like, I'm never doing that again. And that it hurts, but you remember the people that were tough. You remember those embarrassing moments, those tough moments. Like those are the stories that we have that we really learned from. Not to take away from the people that are nice and coddle us and we're nurturing, because we need that too. So going forward into it's 2025 now. What's your plan going into this year? Like, what would you do different, or what do you want to implement in your life? Anything new you have going on this year?
Yeah, that's a deep question.
Like, what do we do
for me? The biggest thing I want to work on this year for me is I want to get my master's. And you heard me say those words how many times, right? Like, and I think one of the main reasons I keep putting it off is because my last school experience was so terrible. If I could be real, like, if I just be honest with myself, I think that's just something I hang on to. Like, I don't really know if I want to do that ever again,
Traumatized from it.
I think so. Yeah. And I mean, that to me, I think that sounds like some people, they'd be like, man, that's really corny to say. But nah, man, every day I would drive to that school and think, today's the day where they say you're done.
And just dreading it.
I was like, today's the day it's going to happen. You know what I mean? Like, that was what I thought. Or I would be driving back and I'd be like, I'm going to get an email that says, go ahead and just don't show up tomorrow.
And you got to deal with that every day.
That was really stressful, man. But I really do. I want to get my master's, and I thought about being an administrator, a principal, but I don't think that's what I want to do. Maybe later.
Yeah.
Like maybe, later down the road, who knows, when I'm like 50, that's maybe a door I want to open, but I really do want to be a curriculum specialist for math. That's really what I want to do.
Okay.
I really struggled with math as a kid. It was like, I always had a tutor in math, and I would love to be able to help teachers, help kids learn. I mean, sometimes like even just in my position at school, being a mentor teacher for other new hires, I say things and they'll be like, oh, I wouldn't have done it that, or I wouldn't have thought about doing it that way. And when I hear people say that, I'm like, oh, maybe this is a calling for you. And like I said, I love math now because I have a better understanding of it. So that's really what I would love to do, start my master's. And so doing that's going to take me actually getting up on my feet and clicking and not putting the application in,
Yeah. Don't wait too long.
Yeah, no, I've got to do it. It's really what I want to do. I know that it'll be good for me because it'll be a good resume builder, number one. Number two, if I wanted to get out of the classroom for a little bit, but still want to help kids, I can do that too. I could see myself maybe in the next 2-3 years, maybe doing, like I said, being a math specialist, doing something different, not actually teaching. So I think that would be really what I would like to do, man, before it's all said and done, start my master's.
What about your life outside of work?
I want to drink more water. Just I struggle. But I want to eat at home more. I've lost that, man. That used to be like my thing. I used to love to cook.
Yeah.
I do it all the time. I just like tell Lee all the time, like, hey, what do you want me to cook tonight? Or what are we cooking? Now I say to Lee, I'm like, what are we getting for dinner?
Yeah.
I've got to stop. No, but in all seriousness, man, I really do I want to be more present for my family.
Yeah.
All jokes aside, I really do. I want to find time to go out and do things with them versus just kind of hanging out at the house. Weather makes it hard right now, but
Yeah,
it's nicer. I want to go out and really make good memories with Macy and Leah, going to parks, museums, stuff like that.
You can start writing stuff on the calendar too. Don't wait for a birthday party or a holiday to show up for you to do something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So something I want to, that's a goal. That's a goal. Once a month, I want to put something on the calendar for us to go do.
Yeah, put something on the calendar, man. It'll make you feel so much.
I've got to prioritize it.
Definitely some good goals. I thank you for taking the time to have the conversation. I know a lot of people don't get asked a lot of questions I ask, so I like to hear people's perspective and have them, have a platform to have a voice on. So I definitely
appreciate it.
Definitely.
I mean, I appreciate the things that you brought to the table. I mean, you brought a lot of things that, reflection that I can think about, walking away from this. There's a lot of things that I'm going to be thinking about today. I think a lot of times we shy away from conversations that are actually, important, real conversations, things that are going to actually project you somewhere else, a grown man conversation, if you will.
It's harder to bring them up, but yeah, it's good that you didn't shy away from this one. So hopefully it helped and we can implement some things this year.